This winter has felt very brutal, and it's not quite at its end. However, I'm taking positive action and giving myself a weekend to enjoy simple pleasures. And the first of them is to learn a new skill. So sitting by the fire, I'm learning colour work. I bought myself a class, and although I haven't got it, I really don't, I'm enjoying the process. As I'm sharing my simple pleasures, I invite you to share your simple pleasures, and I look forward to reading what you've been up to down in the comments. Weaving and learning to weave is a slow process, but I'm enjoying that pace. I'm enjoying seeing the pattern build, and I'm enjoying using yarn I've dyed myself. So this is what I was doing last night, and you can see I was really struggling the selvage edge there, and I am going to have to go back to the video lesson and watch it again, because I was definitely getting it wrong. I was trying to wrap the selvage, but I wasn't getting it. I was also somewhat distracted by the Canada Great Britain curling match at the Winter Olympics. So congratulations to Canada and commiserations to Team GB. A silver, but a silver's good. Taking a walk in the winter sunshine. It's a cure for everything. Well, I'm squinting into the sunshine for the first time in months. Oh, it's absolutely glorious. I can't tell you how much I needed this. Oh, the sun. It makes everything better. So here we are on our morning walk, and it's high water at the moment, so we couldn't really walk on the beach. And I am sick to death of walking through mud. So we've come up onto one of the footpaths that's actually got blacktop on it, and we're just having a very enjoyable stroll in the sunshine. Still quite breezy, and there probably is going to be a little bit of rain today, but oh, the sun. Oh, joy. The spring will return. I saw a bumblebee this morning, always a good sign. They're always the first insects. And he was a great big queenie looking for a nest. So, yeah, spring is on its way. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. And there is Fishguard in Fishguard Bay. The mountain's a little bit hidden in the mist. It doesn't get old. It really doesn't. So still squinting into the sunshine, but I don't mind. And just yep, I'm happy. I'm so happy it's sunny. Right, what was I going to say? Probably nothing very sensible. Yes, right, that's what I was going to say. So it's been quite a busy week, really, and I made a video about sock yarn, making the ultimate sock yarn, and I'm going to do a part 2, which is going to be sort of more dyeing and spinning focused. And so I've been doing some acid dyeing. I know, shock horror. I don't normally do acid dyeing. Not that I've only got an awful lot against it, really. I think both natural dyeing and acid dyeing have, their pros and cons. But just I kind of like fertling about in the bushes and finding dye materials. Or as Sally Pointer says, I like hedge bothering. So a bit of hedge bothering and sort of cooking something up. Yeah, I really enjoy that. And obviously you get completely different results with natural dyes than you do with acid dyes. But equally, I'm very pleased with the acid dye results, and I will finish making the video at some point this week, and I'll put that out on the channel as soon as it's ready. Oh, it's blustery up here. I don't know how well you're going to be able to hear me, I have the windshield on the microphone, so I'm hoping it's going to be okay. So what is my plan for today? I hear you say. Well, back home, make Sunday brunch, then a bit of gardening, I think. Sunday brunch means eggshells. And there's nothing I like more than taking something that's destined for the dustbin and turning it into something useful. So I dry them out, put them in a pestle and mortar, grind them up, and then add them to the soil in our vegetable beds. Our soil's a little bit acid, and vegetables prefer it, or many vegetables prefer it, a little bit alkaline. So by crushing up the eggshells and adding them to the soil, you add that little bit of alkaline, which just helps everything grow a little better. Another job that's been on my list for a while is pricking out these onions. Really, I should have done it maybe 3-4 days ago, but it's kind of been one of those weeks, as I keep telling you. So that's my job for this afternoon. And I've got a little plastic tray. I have used this many times. It's got to be 20 years old. So I do try not to do single use plastic and use things that I already have, or maybe, you know, as in the plant label, that was just kind of a plastic tub that had split, so I cut it down and it's plant labels. And I have my compost in here, and a friend to the channel, Resource Dragon, was very worried that I would make myself ill using compost, because obviously it can carry bacteria and various things. And I promise I will change my apron and wash my hands when I finished. But it is sterile. It's sterile compost. It came from the I was going to say the garden centre, but actually it didn't. I ordered it online, and it was compressed. But it is sterile compost, and I've put water with it to rehydrate it because it was dried. So I'm confident I'm not going to get any nasties from it. I don't know whether that is something that happens in Australia, but I mean, I've never heard of it in the UK. Somebody's now going to put in the comments that they have heard of it, but I never have. And I'm quite confident not wearing gloves. I actually quite like to get my hands in the compost, feel it. And yeah, so that's the plan for the moment. So I'll just turn you around so you can see what I'm doing. If it was not quite as wild and windy outside as it is, then I would do this outside. But it is back to blowing a hoolie, and I think it's going to rain fairly soon. So much for this morning's sunshine. So I'm just going to, oh, don't need that. Just fill it up and then push it down and fill it up a bit more until we're at the point where nice firm bit of compost in here. Right, I think that's suitably kind of roughed up, and this little implement is actually a fork for picking crab. But as Andrew is now allergic to crab, despite the fact that we live next door to a crab fisherman and we can get crab, we don't eat crab anymore, so hence we don't use these. So I found them excellent in the garden, and just sort of doing a little bit of dibbling. And you can grow onions from sets. Certainly I always used to do that when I lived in Somerset on a clay soil, because actually clay soils are quite difficult for growing onions. But hey ho. Now, freeing up this little seed tray means that in a couple of weeks' time, actually a couple of weeks, it'll be a week. In a week's time, in March, when I start planting the rest of the seeds for the dye garden, then I have some space for said seeds. So If these don't kind of recover and come back to life, then I can just buy some onion sets, or I could start more seeds. I mean, it's still early enough. I could start more seeds. I mean, it's much, much cheaper to grow from seed than it is to grow from sets. And onions are one of those things, I'd love to be self-sufficient in onions because I use onions every day in cooking. But that would mean 365 onions, and only got quite a little garden. That would take up quite a lot of space. Probably more space than I have. Well, certainly more space than I want to put down to vegetables. So in theory, they should just fit back onto the little windowsill propagator that I have. I've now turned the heat off. I don't know whether you can see, but the woad has actually germinated. And in here I have some pepper seeds, and they're really old seeds, and I just thought I'd try them. And they've been in there for 3 weeks and they haven't germinated, so I think we can safely say they're not going to. And it's raining, of course it is. But I'm going to continue on my path of finding joy. And one of the things I want to make is another scarf, a bit like this. This is one of my very, very first weaving projects. And this is all just sort of randomness from my stash. But I want to have something that actually goes with my hat that you see me wearing all the time. Now, this again all came from the stash, but the stash is a bit out of control. So I want to just go and do a bit of stash diving, because I think I'm going to have to dye some colours to get something that will match with this. And as I'm really enjoying doing the acid dyes, just because it's so simple and quick, I thought I would have a look and see what I need to actually create, so what colours I need to create, which means we have to get the stash out. And the stash is currently in tubs, and then enormous tub like that. So I thought we'd do a bit of stash diving and see what colours I've got and then what I need to create. So I'll turn the camera around so you can just have a little look and see what is in the tubs. In this tub, this is combings, is that a word? Comb top that I've been creating from my Lincoln long wool. So I know what that is, but I'm less sure what's in the big one down here. So let's have a little look. So here's my hat. So if I put that there, then I can see. You can see it's all a bit messy. So we've got some of that. That I've still got. That I've still got. Oh, look, still got some of that. Do I have anything else that's gonna tone in? I mean, I don't actually need to make that much because it's going to be quite a thin scarf. So, right, I think what I'm really missing is the purple. I thought it probably was. What else have I got in there? Yeah, I think I need to make some purples. And now the dog wants to come in. Of course she does, I'm filming. If you have been watching some of my recent videos, you'll know that I got a custom blend done that is particularly designed for socks, but actually I think it will make pretty good weaving material. So I'm going to dye some of this. This is about 75 grams, and that's going to be more than enough, I think, she says, if I actually know how to calculate how much warp and weft I need. I think I do. And I'm quite tempted to go for a sort of tonal effect, so having purple and blue and not have a solid colour. and I am in the process of making another video which is about sock yarns, which will go into much more detail on how to do that. But just very quickly, I'm going to mix up a purple and I'm going to have just a blue and have quite a deep pot of water, which means that the two will really mix up. If you have shallow amount of water, or if you do hand painted, then you don't get the same mix. But I quite like to have a tonal range rather than a kind of stripe. So I am going to do that. So deep pot of water, make up my dye, then sort of mix them in, and just that kind of the amount of water you've got in there means that it kind of smudges together. And in theory, you get a good result. Now, I sort of do know you get a good result because I've done some other dyeing, but I haven't finished making that video. So once this is soaked for, I don't know, half an hour until it's nicely wetted, I'm going to make up the pots of dye and we'll see what happens. I'm not very scientific about this. If you do like dyeing with acid dyes commercially, then you're really scientific. I've seen people demonstrate it and they're very scientific and they kind of really record everything they're doing. I'm just kind of chucking stuff in and hoping for the best. Why not? It's all about joy today and measuring stuff. I'm going to measure out the right amount of dye material, but I'm not actually going to measure how much red and how much blue I put in. I'm just going to put some in and see what happens. What's the worst that can happen? A muddy mess. It's only 75 grams. We can start again. Right, okay, let's go play with dye. So there is the pot of loveliness, and I've come out here just to let it cool. It's raining, but it's only drizzling, so I don't think that's going to cause any problems. So there we go, and that is what you're aiming for, completely clear water. All of the colour has gone into the fibre. So we're out on our afternoon stroke evening walk. I have hat hair, but I was getting too warm, so I've taken my hat off. We'll be spinning up that fibre in a week or so's time, so I will put that on the channel. And the next thing on the channel is going to be more sock yarn spinning. And at the end of this video, I'm just going to drop in what that fibre looks like. Now it's nearly dry. It's not 100% dry, but you know, I've got to finish the video. So I will see you in a few days' time.